As a manager, do you realize the impact you have on your team's lives? And yes, I mean lives, not just work. Because sure, at work, everything from hiring to onboarding to performance feedback to how team members grow in their careers, you'll impact that and how they work, how they get work done. But you also impact their life outside of work. In what type of person, as a friend, a spouse, a partner, a husband, father, all of that they show up to people in the rest of their lives. Because as a manager, often you are focused about getting work done. Like, this person didn't do this, like, I'll just take it on myself. But you may not always think about the person, like the real human being that's on your teams, and all of the very real thoughts and emotions that they bring to work. Because even if you're focused on, like, okay, it's just work, people should get it done, think about your own thoughts and emotions. Like, even when I say that statement, like if I say people have real emotions, you might be like, oh, can't we just get work? But you have a reaction to that. And team members, everybody, from everyone across every level of the organizational ladder, has very real and emotional responses. You can look at it, you can see it CEOs and sometimes the things they do and the way they respond. So much of it does come from emotion. And so sometimes it's, how you work with colleagues and things like that, but oftentimes it's that direct manager that impacts so much of someone's experience and how they feel and how they perform. Because even if you are really focused on results, how they perform can be impacted on how they feel and the emotions that they have, but also the aspects of life. Because UKG had done a study, showed that a person's direct manager has a greater impact on their health than their doctor or their therapist, if they have a therapist. It's roughly on par with a spouse or partner. And that study came out a couple years ago, but it still gets talked about because it really makes sense if you think about it. Because the people like, your family, and okay, you can't always choose your family, but with your spouse, partner, you may not even spend as much time with them as you do your manager. Oftentimes, your manager, you don't have the biggest choice. Even if you're accepting a job, your boss, your manager can change. But so when you show up, so much is impacted by that relationship. You're not working with everyone across the organization. You're working often with a team, and maybe with others, but that manager can set the tone. And so things like, as someone shows up to work, are they going to be able to, when they have questions, are they going to be able to get them answered by their manager? For performance feedback, are they going to know that they're going to know truly where they stand, like, how they're performing? Are they going to have to wait for that performance review? When they do good work and put so much work into it, are they going to get rewarded, or even like a thank you or recognition? Or does it just go into like a void and they never hear back? So much of those experiences are really impacted by the manager, and then they affect how the person really feels, including about themselves. How that person, if you're in person, when they leave, how they drive in traffic. When they come home, I'll say, are they coming in the door? They've had a good day. They're fine. They're switching topics. They're talking to their family. Or they're meeting up with friends. Or are they frustrated because yet again they got in trouble at work, or they had a one-on-one cancel and just have things pile up and can't make decisions because they don't want to make a choice and get in trouble for it, so they're looking for your approval. Are they bringing that frustration home and then taking it out on their family? Are their kids sitting at the top of the stairs listening to them argue because they have this frustration, they're looking to get it out? How they're showing up for their friends. If they make a mistake and they're talking about it, you're a very real character in the lives of your employees, family, and friends. So are they saying, oh, well, ask XYZ boss? They seem understanding. Or are they going to say, like, oh, don't tell them about it, because they know that they'll just get in trouble? And so thinking about that, the issue is not to take that on and think, oh, God, what am I supposed to do? I have people's lives under my control? It's not. So some of the things that you can do, really, one key aspect, is to just pause and think about, how would I want to be treated if I were my team member? And how do they see me as like the impact that I have on their work and life? And really thinking about that for each member of their team. Because as you think about it, you may think like there's maybe some people on your mind and maybe more your favorites or people you interact with a lot, and you may know you're in good standing. There may be others that, you're walking by their desk or you're not checking in on them. And so just taking an opportunity to just check in and say, how's everything going? If you haven't had a one-on-one, set one up and telling them, because oftentimes if you haven't talked to someone in a while and you set it up, their fear is that they're going to get fired. So saying, I literally just want to catch up. All good. Just check in. And so sometimes it's just giving people that attention. Or thinking about, okay, who are people on my team? What are they doing well? What have I not given them recognition for? Because a message from you about something good that they did, specifically what they did and the impact of that, that can make their day more than you realize. And so as a manager, a lot of it is just building habits. But first, it's recognizing that impact you have, the real ripple impact, not just on the work, but on the lives of everybody that you'll come across at work. And so trying that, literally thinking through each team member and thinking, how do they probably view me as their manager, and really thinking about it. And then what could I do to make someone's day? You don't have to go through a checklist of everybody at once, but just having that and building some of those habits. In other videos, I have plenty of ways that you can work with and talk to your team members to just show up. There's often no magic words, but really it can be having conversations and being someone that shows up for them, because it can have such an impact, not just on how work gets done, which reflects well on you and everybody, but also on the lives that they live, literally the rest of their life.